Okay, well, that's fixed that. Okay, hopefully that fixed that.
Okay, well, that's fixed that.
There we go. All right. That's why we check. That is why we always check. Okay. It is Friday, August 15th, 2025 at 4:51 p.m. here a little early this time, and here we are in Fallout New Vegas. I'll head back outside real quick. We're at the Mojave Outpost because the topic that won the New Vegas lore video poll for the month of August was Cass, followed by a tie between the Mojave Outpost and Helios 1. So we will definitely be covering Cass and one of the other two. I'm going to basically choose which one I want to see. We'll see what happens there. Or which one I'm going to cover, I mean, because, again, they tied. So anyway, though, yeah, again, so Cass will be the next one. Let's see, last week... Let's see, I'm trying to remember what happened last week. Okay, yeah, I released the video early last week. I've been doing a little bit of work on the Cass video this week, but I've also been handling some other stuff with the channel. Specifically, filed my first copyright claim today on another YouTuber because he used 14 minutes of footage out of 5 of my videos in a single compilation video without contacting me once or crediting me in the slightest. And, you know, the funny thing, I was thinking about this earlier today, is that actually I probably would have, at the time, just said go ahead and use it, because in the past, and really up until about 2 days ago, I had really no qualms about people using my footage for whatever. But as I've been going through this whole process of this copyright claim thing, I've been realizing the amount of time and effort that went into making these videos, and it actually just made me quite angry to realize how much footage he was using. And half of it wasn't even stuff where he was like cutting things together. He was just grabbing like a minute and a half, 2 minutes long of video and just throwing them in there. Now he's recording his own script over it, which I'll say, obviously this has no bearing on whether or not he's using my copyrighted material, which he is. But I'm fairly certain it's AI written, because there are facts in there about these vaults that are just absolutely wrong. So yeah, I think he's been using AI to write the scripts that he then reads, and does it over videos that the footage that's made by me and by other YouTubers. I'm currently working with 3 other Fallout YouTubers. I'm not going to name them just because I don't know if they're talking about this publicly yet or not, but yeah, there's at least a few people out there that have been using our footage, and this one guy has been using all of our footage, like all 4 of us, and probably some more people. But regardless, that's what I've been spending about half my time doing. I filed the full claim today, and we'll see what comes of that. But anyway, yeah, so again, Cass we'll be covering. Basically, she had her own caravan out here. It ended up being destroyed, so we'll be covering the entirety of her story. So it's interesting stuff. Now, again, the next question will then be, do I cover Mojave Outpost or or Helios 1? And I think I'm probably going to cover Mojave Outpost. And that's specifically just simply because of the spots that I have covered already. I mean, given that I have covered as far north as Vault 19 on this side, but everything else has basically been in this U-shaped pattern to get up to here. And if I do this, then basically Helios 1 will be like the last outstanding thing before I move north into the actual Las Vegas Valley. So that's where we're going to be heading next. So yeah, I will probably be covering the Mojave Outpost, be covering the Ranger Unification Monument here, the meaning behind that with the Desert Rangers and the California Rangers coming together to form this union, where the goal is to defend these lands against Caesar's Legion. Yeah, there's a little bit of the stuff about the California Rangers, or the Desert Rangers, that seems to come out of the older Fallouts, which will be difficult to get, but we'll see what we can do. So, sorry, 1 second, my throat's a little dry. All right. So, the other thing about this outpost here is basically it's a little checkpoint for agricultural goods to get into California. Now I've just to be clear here about my own real life experience with this area, I have actually completed the drive from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, and I also drove back. My wife and I were going on a trip out to the Grand Canyon and Las Vegas, so we flew into LAX and then drove up I-15. So I've actually been over this exact specific pass. I don't remember there being a checkpoint, but there's probably something off to the side. But regardless, I do remember cresting this hill and coming over the... it's not really exactly like this. Basically, this ridge on the left side actually kind of rides a little bit further in. It's a little bit longer, and then when you get past that, that's when you hit a view of the Ivampa Solar Electric Power Generating Station, which if you missed the stream earlier this year where I talked about it, that's actually going to be going the way the dodo before too long. They're actually canceling that project a couple of years early, and they're going to be tearing that thing down as far as I know. That was the inspiration for Helios 1, which is just out of our view here in this area. It's over the mountains over that way. But yeah, that's the Ivampa Solar Electric Generating Station. But yeah, you keep on going up the road and you get to Primm, where unfortunately there's a little bit of bad news there, where the, I think it's called the Buffalo Bill, the inspiration for the Bison Steve Hotel, has gone out of business. So that one's gone now. So a little bit of what made Primm is now gone. In fact, I think the only thing that's really... I could be wrong there. I think there's like the Golden Nugget or something like that. I think there's 2 casinos there, and I think one of them maybe is still operating. It's the one that had that coaster going through it. It's been a little while since I've studied Primm, but then the other thing is they got the Terribles giant gas station right across the road. So yeah, I think that's basically what's left in Primm at this point. So casinos are generally not doing as well these days. I personally have never been that big a fan of gambling. I've been to a couple casinos myself, but having grown up playing video games, the whole flashing lights and sounds and all that kind of stuff never really hit me the same way that I think it hit previous generations. And I think that it's one of those things where it's like alcohol is being consumed less these days. I think it's just one of those things where it's potentially the case that casinos are kind of a generational thing, and I don't think they're ever going to go away completely, but I do think that potentially we're going to see a decline in the gambling industry. So unfortunate things for Southern Nevada, especially with the spread of the gambling industry across the country. But anyway, so yeah, that was basically just an extension of me saying I've driven through this specific area where the Mojave Outpost is. Now, of course, the real actual border between California and Nevada is actually not here. I thought it was when I originally was playing the game, just because it seems like it is, right? Because you got the whole NCR border post here. But in the real world, the actual border line between California and Nevada actually runs just south of Primm, all the way over through Nipton. Yes, it's like it's actually Nipton's on the California side, Primm is on the Nevada side, which is why you can buy... you can go gambling in Primm, and you can buy lottery tickets in Nipton, because California has a lottery and Nevada does not. So, anyway, though. So, yeah. There's a few things here with the Mojave Outpost. Specifically, a few interactions with quests that I've already kind of detailed a little bit of in the past. You've got Ranger Ghost up there, I believe is her name. Excuse me, Caravaner. Go up here. You can sneak up on her to get a little bit of a special interaction. You can also bring her news of what happened in Nipton.
We won't go quietly. The Legion can count on that.
But yeah, so that's part of the story up here. There's a few other things. I can't remember everything off the top of my head, but I will cover all of it when I get to that video. And again, once again, we have Cass drinking her troubles away here within the Mojave Outpost barracks right over here. Welcome to the stream, April and Dismay. Hope you've had a good week. Let's see what else we got going on here. I'm trying to think if there's any other news I need to share with you all. No, I'll put up the poll for Fallout 4 soon enough, which will be the videos in September. They've, yeah, you take a sip of your trusty Vault 13 canteen constantly, yeah. I don't know, every once in a while my voice gets a little hoarse like this. I don't really know what the cause of it is, but it drives me crazy when I'm trying to record audio, and I'll get to these little bits where I realize I got to re-record it, and my voice will be like this, and so you'll be able to distinctly hear it if you listen for it. And it's something that I've noticed after recording my voice a lot, is that I can specifically hear when people have to re-record chunks of their videos, the stuff that I didn't notice in the past. But anyway, oh, there was actually a little bit of news on the Fallout TV show. They released a poster for the second season. Hey, ADHD Queen, welcome to the stream, and Julian Fusenisht, if I'm Hopefully not mispronouncing that. Welcome to the stream, y'all. Hope you all had a good week. Hope you all are having a good weekend coming up ahead here. Already halfway through August, which is just crazy to me. But yeah, the Fallout TV show, they released a poster for it, which has the has the New Vegas strip sign on it. Hey, Daddy Dante, welcome to the stream. Sorry I cut things short a little bit last week, and you popped up just after I finished. But yeah, so there's an image of the New Vegas sign, which we already knew they were going to New Vegas, but they're going to be talking about it. Goodman, good to see you. Hope things are going well for you over there in Germany. Let me see if I can find the poster real quick. I actually posted it to my Discord, the tweet that they sent out. Yeah, so it's just says it's coming in December, and they're also saying that they're going to be bringing some information to Gamescom, which is on Tuesday, I believe. So, yeah, I'm on tenterhooks about Gamescom because we've been waiting for news about a whole lot of stuff from Bethesda, and honestly, I've been kind of disappointed by Bethesda this year in terms of what we've actually gotten out of them in terms of news. And so the hope is we're going to get some information on, not just the Fallout TV show, but also on potentially Starfield and its upcoming DLC, and I would hope also some information potentially on something like Elder Scrolls 6, but we'll just have to wait and see exactly what's going to come there. Oh, and also potentially the remake, the rumored remake of Fallout 3, or like I've said, I don't think it's going to be this case, but I think it would make a lot more sense to tie it in with the show if Fallout New Vegas was the game they were actually remaking. Simply because, again, the second season they're actually going to New Vegas. But I do think it's probably going to be Fallout 3 just because it is the earlier one. So, we'll see. My hope would be that if they are going to actually release a remake of Fallout 3, that they include the improvements to weapons modification that came with Fallout New Vegas. Idea for a Fallout DLC be... Oh, well, most of my thoughts related to Fallout DLC have been centered around Fallout 76. Simply because that's where because that's the only game that's currently actually still being developed live in the Fallout universe. Oh yeah, I'm glad you joined the Discord. Basically, my thoughts with the with Fallout 76 is I would love to see it actually lead into Fallout 5 at some point. Specifically, I've talked about this a little bit before. I've thought about a Fallout game set in New Orleans, which I think would be a good spot. I also, having grown up in Austin, think Austin, Texas would be an excellent site for a Fallout game. But regardless, my idea there with it linking to Fallout 76 would be that effectively you get a unification of the settlers and the raiders of Appalachia, and that the settlers effectively become like the civilian government, farmers, stuff like that, construction workers, while the raiders become the military. And you get this kind of like Appalachian empire that uses the automation of Appalachia combined with the ultrasite that's found under the ground to build this extremely like technologically advanced organization that's actually, better than the pre-war world in terms of the technology and stuff like that. But the way to explain them not having been something that the rest of the world was aware of in Fallout 3 is that they expand southwest. Basically, they move further down into the southern part of Appalachia, into the more fertile farmland and stuff like that, where it's going to be less likely to be decimated by nuclear fallout. Simply because, there are a few sites throughout Tennessee and Kentucky and stuff like that you might want to hit with nukes, but for the most part, you're getting away from the mechanized part of the country where they've got factories and stuff like that. You're getting away from the nuclear missile silos that you find in the northern plains. So you're getting to land that's more likely to be still fertile and stuff like that. So I would love to think that they would be expanding down that way and then eventually arrive at an independent New Orleans. And basically, New Orleans, you'd get kind of a story where it's like you're either trying to help New Orleans stay independent or you're allying yourself with the Appalachian Empire or whatever it would be to basically bring the city into the fold. But yeah, no, UT would definitely be something that would either have Enclave or Vault-Tec influence. But I mean, along with that, you've got the state capitol building, you've got the headquarters for the Texas National Guard. You have a whole lot of research laboratories. You've got caves. You've got natural springs. There was Austin Bergstrom International Airport, ABIA, also known as AUS, that's the airport code, was originally an actual Cold War era Air Force base. So, I mean, the area is basically perfectly situated for a Fallout game, but whether or not we'll ever see one there, I don't know. Plus, there's also actually a Bethesda studio in Austin now. I think it was... I can't remember if it's one of the ones that was very badly hit by those recent Microsoft layoffs, but regardless, Austin would be a great spot for a future Fallout game. Along with that, in 76, I've been hearing a lot of rumblings that effectively we're going to be looking at something over the Ohio, to where they're going to be adding territory within the state of Ohio to Fallout 76. So we'll see what comes of that. Like expanding the map. So we'll see. I was realizing the other day that I don't think that the Rust Belt is probably a thing within the Fallout universe. Because you go to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was still full of heavy industry by the time of the Great War within the Fallout universe. So I don't think that the Rust Belt is actually a thing within the Fallout universe. So even though I might occasionally slip up and call things like Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, Pennsylvania, the Rust Belt, Michigan, but I don't think that actually really tracks with the way things actually were in the Fallout universe at the time of the war. But yeah, so I think I think it's really actually quite an interesting universe in terms of that, like just all the implications that you have to really think about when you're actually considering what things were like based on how different the world was compared to the real one. Now, there's always the question of, did it maintain the industry from the 1970s to the 2070s? And we just haven't done that in our world, and I don't really know. So, how are y'all doing this week, though? I hope y'all have been having a good time. It's been very hot in my area. We've got some respiratory illnesses going around. I don't think that's what I have here. My wife actually was sick last week, and I managed to not catch it somehow, and I legitimately don't know how. We sleep in the same bed. I was taking care of her for 4 days. I don't know how I didn't manage to catch it. I'm glad I didn't catch it, but it's honestly surprising to me that that was the case. But yeah, how are y'all doing? I've been thinking about what to do for the Fallout 4 videos when September rolls around. And I'm still, just not I'm 100% sure on what to go to there. I have been thinking potentially covering the different raider gangs of the Commonwealth. Basically, because technically all of them are just called raiders, but if you go right down to it, they actually have little outposts, they have independent bosses, and these bosses actually have interactions with each other via notes and holotapes and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to eventually covering that. I think I discussed this a little bit in the past with somebody, but I can't remember who, about what the upcoming video will be about there. I think it was Malcontent and I were talking about this. But what else? Yeah, I've also got some more Vault videos to do still. I eventually have to cover... I never remember the exact numbers of them all the time, but I've got to cover that vault that's under downtown Boston. I also need to eventually cover Vault 76 and Fallout 76. Need to cover Vault 101. Oop, are we crashing? We might be... Oh, yep, we crashed. Okay. I'll launch it again. Been good, quiet at work. Been losing your mind with the content crashes and Honest Hearts. Yeah. Yeah. I watched a video the other day. It was a Catholic priest, a Dominican priest, responding to a video about Joshua Graham. It was interesting. Oh, we're back here. And I'm over encumbered. Hey, Scotty, welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a good week. So yeah, when we get back around to Fallout 76, though, that'll be in October. There's so many things I need to cover there. And there's also still some remakes I want to make. probably what I'm going to try to do with the 76 stuff is, so long as I'm not covering a ridiculously large topic. Good, I'm glad you're doing well. So long as we're not covering... Who do you side with between... I honestly generally sign with Joshua. Simply because I've got a general view that when you look at groups like the White Legs, they're not going to stop being violent on their own. You know, it's one of those things where, as much as I'd like to do the whole turn the other cheek thing, when you get to certain types of enemies, they're not going to just let you go. And they're not going to learn from the turning the other cheek thing to try to be better people. They're out there with a specific mission to slaughter people. And yeah, and you can keep on running, but eventually you're going to run out of places to hide, and at some point they're also going to catch up to you. Where was I, though? Who's this here? Mercenary and a traveling merchant. Hanging out with a sign there. Oh, 76. With the things I got to cover there. What I'll probably end up doing is, depending on the size of the videos that I end up making, like the Atlantic City one was enormous. That thing took a huge amount of time to put together. I will not be doing another one of those this time. I'll make sure to pick some smaller topics. But I will probably end up doing 2 new topics and then a remake along with that. And the way I do these remakes is I don't just re-record the audio, which is part of it, but what I'll end up doing is I go back in and add things that have changed, and just generally try to, it's actually an entirely new script. So while I might use the same source material and source videos, or source footage, I will update the script on all that stuff. But yeah, so specifically in the remakes, I've got a few towns that I want to cover again, because the original videos were not up to my current standards. And so we're talking about Beckley, Welch, Clarksburg. Then along with that, I wanted to redo the video on Senator Sam Blackwell and on the Dyer Chemical Massacre. Then along with that, I also need to do a video on Charleston at some point. But along with that, there's the video on the Gleaming Depths. Is that what it's called? No. Whatever that new Enclave site is, and new, it's been around for probably a year now at this point. I don't know. But regardless, I need to cover that at some point. I probably should do a video on the ghoul stuff at some point as well. I could probably do some sort of video on the fishing. I need to do a second video covering the Blue Ridge Caravan Company, because there's enough content there for another video. So we'll see, but there's a lot to cover in 76 these days. So I felt bad because you killed the old lady Gibson. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, old lady Gibson out there with all her dogs. But yeah, so that's what we've got to look forward to for the moment. When it comes around to November again, of course, I will cover Starfield again. And I don't know if I don't think I'm going to cover Aquila City yet. I might, but that video I did covering Neon took me a month and a half to put together. So I don't know. I don't know if I've got another one of those in me at the moment. Especially, well, of course, that'll be a few months from now. But the bigger thing there is that the Fallout TV show will be coming out in December, and so I'll need to be doing some coverage of that. So even if I were to start the Starfield video November 1st, there'd be a question of whether or not I'd be done with the Aquila stuff by the time it comes around to needing to cover the Fallout TV show. And if you missed it before, I'm not going to cover the TV show in quite as much depth as I did last time, because it literally took me like 2.5, 3 months to cover the full show, because I did ridiculously in-depth analysis of every individual scene. I literally typed up the full breadth of all of the dialogue within the show. At least within like I can't remember how many episodes there were, but I'd say within the last 3/4 of the episodes, I typed up all the dialogue to make sure I had all the information there. So it's something I could also reference, like do a search and find within my script, well, not script, but again within the dialogue that I typed up. So yeah, I got that stuff so that I can go back to it if I need to reference it, though, for the second season of the show. A lot of stuff I'm looking forward to seeing the outcome of there, though. I'm looking forward to seeing if they're going to actually detail who ended up actually dropping the bombs, because it's been talked about a little bit, but I don't believe that it was actually Vault-Tec that started the war. I do believe that, at least since the TV show, and also, obviously, if you're not aware of it, there was at one point going to be a Fallout movie back in the day, or at least there was a script being written for it. You can smell my Star Bottle caps in. Welcome to the stream, Lord Jukas. But yeah, I do believe that again, so there was going to be a Fallout movie, and that, along with the Fallout TV show, in both cases, Vault-Tec was wanting to start the war. I think in the movie they actually did, but I think it's been fairly well clarified over the course of the games that it was China. Now, they never actually go into it specifically, but they're the group that makes the most sense to have actually dropped the bombs. The U.S. was making progress through mainland China thanks to our power armor. And then along with that, there's also the Chinese fear of FEV. And basically America's biological warfare program, which, if you're unaware, the new plague stuff, that sterility plague that people were worried about, yeah, the movie, if I'm being honest, I've read a little bit of that stuff. It sounds like something where it almost sounds like, I don't know if you're allowed to say the word on YouTube. Most people I see basically put up a euphemism for it, so I'll use the euphemism. It sounds a little corny, just to put it that way, because there are women that are seeking out the Vault Dweller for his like vital essence, if you know what I mean there. But basically, yeah, in the TV show, it's clear that Vault-Tec wanted to start the war. I think that their reasoning behind wanting to start the war is ridiculous. It's like, oh, the profits. Imagine the profits. It's like, who are you going to be selling anything to after the war? What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense. But regardless, I do think, again, that it was China. It was them being worried about America's biological warfare program. Again, the new plague. I think that I cannot remember if the lore has ended up becoming non-canonical. I think it was something that was originally part of the script for Van Buren, the original Fallout 3, before that got canceled, was that the new plague was originally created by Americans to use against the Chinese because it's a sterility plague, and there was a fear about the Chinese population. Yeah. And basically what ended up happening, and I think that they put a little bit of this into Fallout New Vegas, is that the Chinese spies broke into a laboratory in Denver, Colorado, ended up stealing some vials of the new plague, and as they were fleeing, they got dropped, and that's how that ended up spreading across the country. So, I feel people are too hung into the question of who dropped the bomb first. Yeah, no, obviously, it's one of those things where Vault-Tec was predicting that there was it was almost certain that there was going to be a nuclear war and whatever. And obviously it's not hugely important to the setting, but I do believe that it was China that was doing it, that ended up doing it. But again, I'm wondering if they're going to detail it in the show or not. There's definitely some issues that the show had in terms of lore, in terms of things like the placement of, what's it called? Shady Sands, for example, which they have within the downtown LA region, which just does not make any sense. When the Master was expanding across the wasteland, how he would not have immediately hit Shady Sands. I don't know how that's supposed to have happened. How he didn't hit Vault 4, I believe it was, the one with all the mutants in it. How he wouldn't have hit that, I don't understand. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that doesn't make sense in terms of geography. Then along with that, there's obviously... So my biggest issue with the Fallout TV show, if you've missed any of my coverage on this stuff, is that basically my only real issue, aside from, again, these little lore things, which I don't even consider the timing of the bombs in the first episode to have been a huge issue. It's obviously wrong. If you know any... Weren't those guys not attacking me? I thought that this guy was buds with the powder gangers, but regardless. Anyway, the bombs took place... The dropping of the bombs took place early in the morning on the on the West Coast, like very early in the morning. So not during a birthday party. Like that didn't happen according to the existing lore within the game. That doesn't bother me that much because I get what they were doing there. It was for the purpose of creating an excellent scene that you get out of Cooper Howard taking his daughter and fleeing on horseback from the party. So while that was wrong, again, I don't really have a problem with that. The stuff I do have a problem with is like the improper locations of things, and then along with that, the confusion that comes with, again, this one's not attacking me. What was wrong with that guy? Or those two? Anyway, the other problem I have is with that timeline, which again, I assume is something where it was just improperly written or poorly worded, where it's like Shady Sands is destroyed in 2277. It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. This game right here is taking place in 2281, I believe. Let's check the calendar. Do I have it on the map here? Yeah, 2281. And there is no mention of Shady Sands being destroyed, so that kind of stuff did not work. I also it didn't really resonate with me, the mock execution sort of thing that took place in Vault 4. I felt that was a little too silly, but generally speaking, the biggest problem I had, again, those things were all issues, with the bigger issue being, of course, where Shady Sands is located and stuff like that. But my biggest issue is just with the writing, where there's stuff that just does not make sense upon retrospective consideration. Like looking at how it is that the raid that took place on the vault, like how all that stuff synced up, how that stuff all worked together, how it is that the raiders managed to be there at the right time to get into the vault, why it is that Moldaver didn't bring soldiers along with her rather than raiders when she has access to the remnants of the New California Republic Armed Forces. That stuff just did not make any sense to me in retrospect at all. The fact that she basically put no importance on some very important things like recovering the scientist. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. There's a lot of stuff there that just does not make sense. Overall, I think amazing production design. Everything looked Fallout-y to me. Like you said right here, the city did not feel Fallout-y enough to you. I think, did it just crash again? Amazing. Yeah. Where were we here? So yeah, I thought everything looked good, but I don't think that, I think there was some issues with the script, and my hope is that this time around they'll fix those issues. So yeah, like, again, how did Moldaver know exactly when to attack the vault? How was she there? Like specifically on the day when they're supposed to be meeting up together and stuff like that. How did Hank not question the fact that he hadn't been able to make contact with anybody in the other vaults for a long time? None of that stuff made any sense to me. But yeah. So again, those were the biggest issues I had with the Fallout TV show. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where we go with some of these things. Like specifically, is there anything left of the NCR, or was the NCR entirely destroyed? She knew because she's a woman, and women knows find out. Yeah. But yeah, there's that kind of stuff. Then I also want to know what happened to Barb Howard. Like, where did she end up going? I also want to know, basically... Oh, this is the Caravanners again. Did I just hear... And I thought I heard a Deathclaw for a second there. I want to see like where they actually end up going in New Vegas. I want to know what the canonical outcome to New Vegas is. Like, as much as I don't want to know it, the fact that they're going there, I feel like we're going to know what it is. And I'm definitely interested in knowing what it is that they come up with for being the canonical outcome. I want to know who's at the head of the Brotherhood of Steel now. Is it going to be Arthur Maxon that we end up seeing showing up at some point? I want to know, basically, there's a lot of stuff that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them go into. I wonder if the Fulton. There's no initiative for 200. Yeah, no, that is a bit ridiculous. Although, and so, yeah, this was an issue that I had with the second episode, I think it was, when Maximus shows up to town in the guise of Knight Titus. And voice actor for Mr. House passed away. I think so. And yeah, they do have a new actor for Mr. House, though, that they had in the show. I'm going to go ahead and head up here, and we're going to go the opposite direction. Where was I? I'm interested to see where they go, what they do. Again, they have the new House actor, so I'm wondering if Mr. House is still going to be around. Because outside of Mr. House's ending, House is dead, I believe. It's been a little while since I've done the Yes Man version of the ending, but on all the other ones, I'm pretty sure he's dead. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see exactly where they go with that kind of stuff. They did show, I believe it was a crashed vertibird in the streets of New Vegas within the closing credits of the last episode of the show for the first season, so it'll be interesting to see what comes of that. And we'll have to see if there's anything left of Caesar's Legion. The House ending, yeah, well, it's one of those things where it's like, the House ending at times honestly seems like the best version of things for humanity, assuming that House actually does what he says he's going to do, which is effectively rebuild the world and then send out colony ships to go build new colonies on new worlds, to find basically better worlds than Earth for humanity to live on. Oh, yeah, there were definitely issues with the characterization of House in the TV show as well, where, like in the game, he seems to have been running his own thing, and where he's kind of just... seems to be aware of things that are going on, but that he's not planning on cooperating in any way with, like, the Enclave. Whereas in the show, and within the extras, it's made clear that Robco... I believe it's been a while since I've watched those little supplemental things. I mean, the show came out like a year ago at this point. Well, over a year ago at this point. It came back last April. And it's been a while since I've watched the supplementals, and there's specifically one where they kind of like go through the different members of the Enclave. So I'll have to go back and look at that, but I'm pretty sure Robco was one of them, along with Poseidon and Super Duper Mart, I believe, is one of them, which is like, really? The supermarket chain? Let's see. The Brotherhood. Okay, yeah. That's one of the things I'm definitely interested in seeing what comes of what's his name? Man, I'm having trouble remembering his name right at the moment. Maximus is the guy who becomes Maximus's squire. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now. I'm definitely interested to see what he's turning into. My assumption is that what he was injected with by the traveling salesman was FEV, and I believe he's becoming a super mutant, but we'll see. Some people have said they think he's becoming a ghoul, but I'm pretty sure he's becoming a super mutant. Would not surprise me, though, given the kind of stuff they've done with Fallout 76 and the way they've changed how ghouls work, which I'm not terribly in favor of. Would not surprise me if he turned into a ghoul. I don't like what they're doing with ghouls right now, where it feels like a lot of retconning. And it's one of those things where it's like, there's a lot of established stuff around ghouls at this point. And them basically having to take a chemical to keep themselves from going feral has never been part of the lore. And I've seen people be like, well, we just haven't been aware of it. It's like, really? I feel like that would have come up at some point. Yeah. Yeah, Graham would be interesting. Harold, yeah, although Harold's on the East Coast, so I don't think we're going to be seeing Harold. Although I would love it if we got to see Danny Trejo as Raul the Ghoul. I think that would be just excellent. I mean, because, they've got the voice actors for... I can't remember the names off the top of my head right now. For Arcade Gannon and Veronica actually do look a bit like their characters in game. I would love to see some of them show up within the show. Yeah, that's my point. As the stuff they've been doing within Fallout 76 regarding ghouls, I need to go into it more deeply. I've done the process of becoming a ghoul one time, and I fully accept that there are multiple ways to become ghouls. And so I'm okay with the idea of there being like some sort of radiation Kim, because there's even been hints to that kind of stuff in the past with like Hancock in Fallout 4, and with Eddie Winter in that as well, about basically there being a Kim that can kind of turn you into a ghoul, or kind of prep you to become a ghoul. And so again, I don't have any issues generally speaking with that. My issue is more so with the way the ghoul is constantly having to take whatever that drug is that's keeping him from going feral. I'm not really a fan of that after having encountered multiple ghouls in the past, including ones that have been talking about like the need to stop going feral. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The guy in Nuka World, who's basically running Kitty Kingdom, and every one of the other ghouls around him has gone feral, and he had one woman go off to like go try to find a cure or something to prevent going feral, and nothing ever came of that. And it's just like, it feels wrong to change something that foundational to what makes a ghoul this late in the game. It feels like way too big a thing, and I don't know what the exact purpose of it is. Like, why they would be doing this. And the thing is, there's hints throughout the show that chemical's been around for a long time. But the show takes place in, I think it's 2296. And again, just 15 years prior, we're here. There are ghouls here. We don't see any hint of that Kim existing. There's no mention of it at all. And yet the ghoul seems to have been taking it for a long time within the TV show. So I don't know what's going on with that stuff. I'm not really a big fan of it. But I'm definitely interested in seeing more on the Brotherhood of Steel. Figuring out what's going on with them. Why are they suddenly religious in their structure? Why they have now clerics instead of scribes. Why it is now that they're calling knights Lord. I'm just very interested in seeing what the heck is going on with the Brotherhood of Steel. I've speculated on this before that they're becoming some sort of feudal society where it's actually like Arthur Maxon's trying to become King Arthur of like the Kingdom of Steel, something like that. But I don't know. We'll have to see what they end up showing us there. But yeah, so that's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to with the Fallout TV show, is just kind of seeing where these storylines go. I've speculated that Maximus might not know that Lucy left with the ghoul to go hunt down her father, because he went unconscious as soon as basically she revealed to him that her father was the one who ended up blowing up Shady Sands. And so he wasn't there for the confrontation between the ghoul, between Lucy and her father and the ghoul, and all the stuff that went on there before she ended up going with the ghoul to chase after her father. So for all he knows, her father knocked him out, and then the two of them left together. Because again, he wasn't even aware that the ghoul was there, as far as I know. So yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see where all that kind of stuff ends up. Oh, jeez Louise. That's Fallout New Vegas for you. Jeez Louise. What else? That's right. So in the second episode, Maximus confronts the ghoul. And the ghoul does not kill Maximus, even though he knows about the flaw in the armor there. And there are points where Maximus definitely very nearly kills the ghoul. So he has entirely like perfect reasons to kill him, but he doesn't. Now, I've heard people say that it's because of his tempered lining in his armor that they specifically reference on the Vertibird Flight Inn. And maybe, but why is it that like Maximus or Titus before him is the only one that has that specific lining? It's kind of strange.
You like that?
I should cover the jackals at some point. That would probably require more filming in the earlier Fallouts, though, than Fallout New Vegas. We'll have to see, though. Hey, Dave Smearin, welcome to the stream. Hope you've had a good week. Let's see here. 100 ghouls versus 1 super mutant. Activate Fluoride. Cognitive dissonance. Yeah. So, again, hopefully next week at Gamescom we'll find out some more stuff about the Fallout TV show. Hopefully we'll find out... not sure why why YouTube recommended it. But anyway, hopefully we'll find out some more stuff about the potential updates to Fallout 76, the updates to Starfield, all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, though, again, I'm going to be working on the Cass video, the Rose of Sharon Cassidy, and the Mojave Outpost video after that. Just wondering, anybody have any comments or questions that they want to specifically ask? I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to cover, and I feel like I've kind of reached the end of the important stuff. We could, of course, just discuss things in general, but I don't want to go too deeply into Cass or the Mojave Outpost. I'd rather save that actually for the specific video. If you missed it, I am excited for the Fallout Season 2. Looking forward to seeing what's coming with that. We were just... Jeez Louise, again. We were just discussing that a little bit. What is that, like the 6th time this has crashed? Anyway. Where was I? If you missed it earlier in the stream, I spent a few hours this week. Well, not a few. I'd say probably 6 to 7 hours this week. Working on a copyright dispute with another YouTuber. So we'll see what comes of that. This guy has stolen footage from myself and at least 3 other YouTubers. Again, I'm not going to mention their names, simply because I don't know if they're talking about it publicly yet or not. But again, this guy stole 14 minutes of footage from me for a video, off of 5 separate videos. Didn't contact me to ask, did not ever put down any sort of crediting for it. And so, yeah, that's not okay. But anyway, that was what I spent about half my week on this time. Again, the rest of it has been spent on Fallout New Vegas stuff and all that kind of stuff. I'll have hopefully the Cass video done by next Friday and the Mojave Outpost video done by the Friday after that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've covered most of the things that I've got to talk about. Does anybody have anything that they, any topics in mind? Again, I talked a little bit about the Buffalo Bill Casino's closing down, or has closed down, so no more Bison Steve. The other casino, again, I actually have not checked to see if that one is still operational or not. I'm going to take a look at the map real quick here. Favorite faction in the whole series. Where am I? Oh, up here. In the whole series, I think it's easier to go game by game. So, jeez Louise. And I'll go specifically with the 3D Fallouts just because I don't know the original Fallouts as well. So within Fallout 3, probably the Brotherhood of Steel. Simply because I think it's one of the better versions of the Brotherhood of Steel. Because they actually care about the people and technology, so it's a good combination. Then, if we go to Fallout New Vegas, I generally always support the NCR in Fallout New Vegas, but whether or not that's my favorite faction, I don't know. I do generally like the organization. It feels very real. The corruption, the fact that the people are genuinely like proud of their society, but at the same time also are dealing with the fact that the actions out here in the Mojave are not going well. In fact, I've talked about this a little bit in the past. It's very likely the case that regardless of whatever's going on with the nukes in the Fallout TV show, the NCR probably was not long for this world if they hadn't resolved some very serious issues, regardless of how things even happened here out in Nevada. But anyway, we'll come back to that in a minute. In Fallout 4, the Minutemen, simply because they are basically a grassroots volunteer force that's out there trying to defend themselves and their neighbors. And the rest of the factions all have some pretty serious issues with them. I mean, the Brotherhood of Steel has obviously got some issues, especially once you have Arthur Maxon at the head of it, and they no longer really care about the people. They just care about technology again. And then along with that, the Institute, like, they're just, like, blatantly evil most of the time. It's one of those things where it's like you'd like to believe that they're kind of just like a highly controlling society that will eventually do better for the world. But at the same time, I just don't really trust them to do that. Then the Railroad, they're generally speaking a fairly good group, but they also seem to be fairly misguided as well. Especially the ones that are trying to rescue Gen 1 and Gen 2 synths as though they're sentient beings when they definitely don't seem to be. So I think that mostly covers Fallout 4. There's obviously a few other minor factions there, like the Raiders of, what's it called, Nuka World. But, okay, so then that covers that. So in 76, the Free States, my favorite faction there. Oops. Basically, this faction that was misunderstood by their neighbors, villainized by the government, considered to be traitorous by the general people, went underground because they knew the end of the world was coming, and they were ready when the world did end, and rather than treating their neighbors who had treated them so poorly with disdain, they actually went on to actually help them. They came out of their personal bunkers and ended up saving their lives. I think they're just a great faction in that way. Because the Responders are also a great faction. People coming together to try to save their neighbors, kind of like the Minutemen, but with more of a focus on kind of a volunteer humanitarian effort sort of a thing. There's obviously the Enclave, which is like... There's actually a civil war within the Enclave within Fallout 76. There was prior to our emergence from Vault 76. But the wrong faction won that one. Because basically, if you're not aware, and I've covered this thoroughly in my video on 76, on the Enclave, there was basically a faction of the Enclave within 76 that kind of wanted to actually do the right thing. They wanted to not continue the war with China. They wanted to just actually try to help people in the aftermath of the bombs. And that was what got them killed by the former Secretary of Agriculture turned President of the Enclave, Thomas Eckhart. Then the Brotherhood of Steel in 76 is a newer faction because there was the original version of the 76 of the Brotherhood within 76, but they died out. But obviously all those original factions died out. But the very first version of that faction was actually just Army Rangers. They ended up becoming part of the Brotherhood of Steel when the Brotherhood of Steel's mission was saving people and recovering technology. Is that going to pop back up when I walk away? No, I think it was just running the nighttime animation during the day accidentally. But yeah, then there was the changeover in terms of priorities for the Brotherhood, and they became a lot more like the Brotherhood, the later iterations of the Brotherhood, focused entirely upon recovering technology, not upon saving people. What else is there? The Mistress is a Mystery, definitely an interesting faction within Fallout 76 as well. Short time in the world, but very highly effective. Basically little versions of Batman kind of going around out there, because these are people that were not actually superheroes, just extremely well trained, wore costumes, went outside in their like secret identities and fought against the Raiders to try to save people's lives, but in the end they were betrayed from within by the daughter of the founder. Very interesting little faction, but again, they survived for the least amount of time of the factions within Fallout 76. Then there's the Raiders of the Savage Divide, who were just either evil or... well, I think they're actually all evil, but there's basically a gradient to it, where on one end you've got the Cutthroats and the Gourmands, and then on the far other side of it you've got the Diehards. Where the Diehards were not people that enjoyed killing people, but did so because they felt they needed to survive. Now, again, there are plenty of people out there that went ahead and tried building farms and tried to grow food and trade food and things like that and trade resources, and they managed to start trying to rebuild. Well, the diehards just went about their business of killing people in order to get food. So again, definitely still evil, but not like the cutthroats who enjoyed killing people and the gourmands who would literally eat people. So again, gradient to these things. But of course, they ended up dying off and ended up being replaced by the Raiders of the Crater, which are the remnants of the diehards along with some other people. And, of course, the Blood Eagles, which are just probably the most evil Raider faction in the game. People that thoroughly enjoy killing, get themselves into drug-induced states, and go out and just slaughter. Wouldn't it be fun if this was the way to get New Vegas when you start the game? I'm just kidding. It would take a lot of the game out of the game if you could just walk up this way, though, normally. This character has killed all of the what's it called, Death Claws, in order to make the video on Boulder City, when I had to basically cover how it changes things in Boulder City to have eliminated the Death Claws here around Sloan. So, but I think that's all the factions there. So yeah, again, in 3, Brotherhood of Steel, New Vegas, probably the NCR, in 4, the Minutemen, and in 76, the Free States. I was about to say Freestar Collective, which is my favorite faction within Starfield, which also has a very similar attitude towards things. No centralized leadership, basically just a collective of people working together towards a goal, with liberty being the main goal in mind there. Where you get the United Colonies, that's much more bureaucratic and set upon formalizing a society with a centralized government. You get the Freestar Collective, which definitely has its issues. It's far more corrupt. But didn't mention the Free Radicals. They're a pretty small faction. If I'm remembering correctly, I think I know the group you're specifically talking about there, which is that little raider gang that ended up popping up with Wastelanders. Maybe they've got some more content to them now, and I just haven't seen it yet. The factions of Atlantic City are also interesting groups as well, with the family and the Munies and who are we fighting over here? More fiends probably, and the Showmen. Interesting groups, and then along with that, you've got the factions within the Pit, the Fanatics, and the Union. That's right. Hey Haley, welcome to the stream. Oh yeah, so another thing here. This airport in Las Vegas is no longer known as McCarran Field. It's now the Harry Reid International Airport, named for their former senator who passed away, I feel like almost a decade ago at this point. Yeah, I learned a bit about him when I was doing my research on the city of Searchlight, which Searchlight was actually the home of Harry Reid, and he wrote some history books on his hometown. I never actually read any of them when I was making my video on Searchlight. I just relied upon the material I could find from like their historical society and stuff like that. But definitely an interesting little town, basically a gold mining town that ended up becoming a work camp for building nearby dams and stuff like that. But yeah, McCarran Airport, no longer a thing. Were the Rangers separate from the NCR or always part of them? There were two factions of Rangers. There's the Rangers that were part of the NCR, and those are the guys you see with the riot gear on. And then there were the Desert Rangers. And those are people that were out here before the NCR arrived and potentially before the NCR even existed. I need to do some more research on the Desert Rangers. Some of that material comes from Fallout 2, I believe. But yeah, the Desert Rangers were basically people that lived out here in the Mojave and beyond, out in Arizona as well, watching over the territory, generally making sure that they didn't end up with any nasty groups forming that were going around hunting people. But eventually Caesar's legion arrived and became far too serious a threat for them to be able to handle themselves. And so they ended up forming a union with the Rangers of the New California Republic. And together they were working against the Legion. That worked out well within the first Battle of Hoover Dam, which, I mean, obviously ended up being a victory for the NCR, but also something of a stalemate strategically. Tactically, the NCR won the battle, but at the same time, they didn't manage to actually dislodge the legions, of the legions still hanging out on the other side of the river. Oh, there we are, down here. So yeah. So yeah, that's why when you go to the Mojave Outpost, there are two statues there. One that has again that full face shield that you see on the Rangers within the NCR, and then you got the one that's wearing just that normal kind of flat brimmed hat. That's the Desert Ranger. Do I have the Hoover Dam? No. I don't know why. Let's go to daytime. It's a little more interesting in daytime. Yeah, Boulder City's an interesting little spot. I made a video on it if you're interested. City built by the federal government, and actually it was run by the federal government for a long time after the end of the construction of the Hoover Dam. It was built to build the Hoover Dam. It was built to house the workers who built the Hoover Dam specifically. Yeah, of course. Happy to clarify. Again, like I said before earlier on, I did a drive from Los Angeles to Las Vegas, and then I drove from Las Vegas to the Grand Canyon. And it is really alien territory once you get out. There's actually a bridge right here in the real world. So it's actually probably, let's go a little bit further back this way. So the Hoover Dam looks something like that, although it's taller in the real world. Built back in the 30s. But somewhere around here, let's say, maybe, actually no, it's a little further down. Regardless, there's I can't remember the other name, but I remember Pat Tillman's name because I remember that whole story. If you're unaware, Pat Tillman was a NFL player, I think it was on the Arizona Cardinals, who ended up volunteering to serve. He gave up his NFL contract to go serve with the Army, I believe, in Afghanistan. Ended up accidentally being killed in friendly fire. Sad story there. But yeah, there's a bridge that runs over the Colorado River, somewhere around here, probably a little further down, that's named after the Nevada governor and Pat Tillman. Was finished about, I think, a decade and a half ago at this point, something like that. But yeah, anyway, I've crossed over that bridge before, and the landscape on that side of the Colorado River is just, it's alien looking when you look south. It's very strange looking land. It's it's a piece of territory where if you were to film something there and say it was on some sort of alien planet, I would 100% believe that you're filming something on Mars or somewhere distant. It's very strange territory. You can kind of get a feel for it if you look at pictures, but it's no substitute for actually being there yourself. Went to the Hoover Dam as well. Funnily enough, the Hoover Dam was actually, I think, my wife's favorite spot on the trip. It's very interesting to see the statuary there. It's got, because I don't think it has this exact statuary. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it has that old New Deal Art Deco stuff where they've got the kind of monumental statues of people, and they've got all the architecture does actually look something like this.
Hello.
Used to be the bridge over the Colorado, the main bridge of the Colorado in the area. But they had, and again, if you watched my video on Boulder City, you already know this. When they were building the Canamex corridor, the highway connecting Canada and Mexico through the United States, the original route of it took it across the Hoover Dam. But that's kind of crazy because it is something actually like this. And so if you're imagining trying to route traffic from Mexico to Canada or vice versa, and you're looking at a 2-lane road over a dam where you have to go quite slow, yeah, that's obviously not going to work very well. So they ended up building that bridge south of the Hoover Dam in order to carry the traffic. Got some engineers. Some NCR soldiers and rangers out here. Got this giant artillery gun. There actually were anti-aircraft guns at the Hoover Dam during the Second World War. Obviously never got any actual use out of them. But it was one of those things where they were there to protect it from attack. Now, I don't think that they were actually expecting to see an actual air attack from like Japanese fighters or something like that. Like Zeros coming in to drop bombs on the dam. I think it was probably more so like a sabotage sort of attack, or a small scale like terroristic sort of operation where you would assume that the Japanese would basically send in like kamikaze pilots or something like that to commandeer some airplanes and fly them into the dam or something like that. I don't think they were expecting actual legitimate military action, but they did have anti-aircraft guns, and I believe they're operating the blackout in the area as well, in the same way they did on the East Coast to protect against submarine attacks. Which, if you're unaware, there was actually submarine warfare that took place all along the American coast during the Second World War. Obviously not anything like you got in the main part of the Atlantic, where there is just constant ships being sunk all the time. But yeah, they did have to do blackouts on the East Coast, specifically to try to hide the silhouettes of ships to prevent them from being sunk. But there was even actual action in the Gulf of Mexico going on at that time. But anyway, though, I think I've rambled enough here. So, unless you all have any specific comments or questions... Oh, here, sorry, I missed that. Would you say the game is an accurate representation of the real-world location? There are definitely some specific spots that are very much representative of the real world. Again, the landscape does actually look quite a bit like this. The Hoover Dam does look something like that, although it's taller. Obviously, Las Vegas and New Vegas look fairly different. But the landscape, I would say, is pretty damn good. Now, the river looks pretty good. Although they do some weird stuff where they make it kind of red. I don't really know specifically why they did the... Because you walk out here, nice blue sky. But if we start heading down towards Camp Forlorn Hope, things will get red pretty quick. But yeah, so if anybody has any comments or questions, again, next week, look forward to the Rose of Sharon Cassidy lore video. And following that, a lore video covering the Mojave Outpost. I was considering doing 3 videos, but I definitely don't think I'm going to have the time, and I don't want to do what I did earlier this year, which if you missed it, I did 3 lore videos on Fallout New Vegas in February, but that ended up leaking into March, and that meant that I was late getting the Fallout 4 videos out, which I was late getting the Fallout 76 video out, which meant that I was late getting the Starfield videos out. So it was this lovely little cascading failure to get things out on time, all springing from that original failure to get the New Vegas videos out on time. But yeah, so again, no more blue sky. Now it's kind of purplish. All thanks to the way they tinted the sky here.
Patrolling the Mojave almost makes you wish for a new...
But again, anybody have any questions or any comments before we close things out here? Should I subscribe, by the way? I would say so. I've got a lot of good videos on here. The streams are actually the smallest thing that I do here. I do lore videos on basically everything. I've done lore videos on Fallout 3, New Vegas 4, 76, and on Starfield. I got lore videos on vaults, towns, organizations. Every single main faction within Fallout 76 I've covered with a long video. Specifically the Brotherhood of Steel, I think, has like an hour and a half. But yeah, I do everything from little one-off stories to full-scale faction videos and all that kind of stuff. So I'd recommend it. If you haven't seen the stuff that I put there, I like it. Anyway, though, I think I'm going to go ahead and close things out here. And again, see you all next Friday, hopefully after having published the cast lore video. So I hope you all have a good weekend, and I will see you all next time.